General Gregory Mugisha Muntu yaliko omudumizi w'eggye lya Uganda ekifo olwaleero General Muhoozi kyalimu. General Mugisha Muntu we yali CDF ayina ebikolwa bye yakola simanyi singa byali bivuddeyo naye waliwo tweet General Muhoozi gye yakoze oluvannyuma lw'okuwamba Eddie Mutwe ng'agamba he is in my basement learning Runankole you are next. Oshitegedde ng'agamba President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine nga bwe yawambye Eddie Mutwe era kati ali mu basement amwegiriza Runankole n'ekifaananyi ekyafuluma nga Eddie Mutwe afaanana bulala. Kati General Mugisha Muntu alina obubaka eri omutabani w'omukulu eri mutabani wa Museveni General Muhoozi Kayine Lugaba ku bikolwa bino byakola kubanga yalowooza nti kubanga ali mu kifo ky'obwa CDF nga taata we yali mu ntebe then kimuwa monopoly okutulugunya bannayuganda nga ye bw'ayagala. General Mugisha Muntu ebigambo kabigambe.
Well, this regime sustains itself in power, basically using a number of tools. But the most common and most effective, if I may say, is the use of money to rent support or to buy out people, and the use of fear. Fear. As a tool for control. And as normally happens.
Yeah, I agree with that, yo. You know why General Muhoozi and his father are doing all this? Torturing us, abducting us, killing us, yo, beating us to maximum. Even abantu bafamu bakyabulidde dda tebamanyikiddwako mayitire kibala waliwo amanyi gyali waliwo tewali amanyi gyali waliwo omwami yali akola wakisekka ng'akola mu byuma mu spare omusajja erinnya lye limbuze bannange yaani n'abalala bangi baganda baffe abo abaabuzibwa bali 18 missing Ugandans tamanyikiddwako mayitire bangi be baakuba amasasi ne babatta broad daylight ng'omusana gwaka tukutuku mmeremenya ne babatta ne babasaanyaawo nga General Museveni kyagezaako okubalaga nti you try it I will do you the same way. Oshitegedde ogetinge that fear kale gy'obadde ofunye egamba kanyimuke tuggyeko omusajja edayinge ye kyaliko to kill you. Oshitegedde mubeere nga okubateekamu fear eyo mubiveeko ogambe tetubiriimu kyaliko kyokka naye nga tewali kirala aye naye atambulira ku fear atya nnyo.
In all autocratic regimes, you have to keep on reinforcing the fear and increasing the extent to which you apply the tools of fear that create fear. Initially, you may not engage in a lot of negative activities, but the longer you stay in power, the more need for repression if you are going to maintain a tight lead on the situation. And that's, I think, where we find ourselves. And if they don't keep on acting the way they act, people can become confident. And the one thing that terrifies all autocratic regimes is a confident society.
True that. Whenever we cease to fear, but tuvaamu okutya kwaffe nga tukyabatya ne bakola nga situbalaga tubatya nga twongera kulumba bulumbi bro they will run away. Bro, what General Museveni fears the most ne bamulaba atambula n'akankana bw'atye he fears Ugandans to stand up and they look into his eyes and they say bro we are tired of you, get out of here. Njaga mujukire waliwo incidence yabadde Sembabule wakatambula ku mwakalabye awabaddeyo samu kuteesa n'abakulembeze be Sembabule nifa kawoya ne Sekikubo Pedro Sekikubo oyamuyimuse nga tebamwanjula najja ne yeeyanjula n'abajjako omuzindaalo walayo fracas yabaddewo nga balwanyisa Sekikubo General Museveni omukolo gwa yeto gunnaba kuggwa yayimuse mu ntebe n'ataka kukola tondeka nnyuma n'alinnya muloka shwe n'avaawo kubanga lwaki yadduse. He knows anything can happen in the due process. Bano abaana abankuuma waliwo ayinza okubangula gyanoonya omukisa wankubira ekyasi within kana akakyagana kawo n'agenda mpisamu eryanda beti tatatata. The best way to do it, just run away. The guy fears everything. Even he fears his shadow. ono atya mutiitiizi kati nammwe ayagala bamaking mubere batiitiizi tulaba nga mufunye courage nga mufunye amaanyi ng'abateekamu kaki akatengo kati navwe mulina kukola ki kumuddiza akatengo. That's why bakola bino bye bakola. Kati walayo General Muhoozi bwe yadde nga awambye edi mutwe ebigambo byayogedde yagambye mwe bafuutu bigere olaba mpambye mukama wammwe nga awamba ensenene kati ate olwomwe. He did it to transfer it to the foot soldiers. Lwakimanyi edi mutwe ajja kulwana naye bajja okulwana be bamwanayinki kati kankole ono kino mumulabireko mutye muzzeemu ebigere emabega.
So when they arrest someone like Eddie and many other young people who've been arrested, it is consistent with the reinforcement of the state of fear.
True.
So they maintain fear in the population.
True that.
And also fear in the different actors.
Yeah.
So it is they simply can't stop that. And they'll have to keep on increasing it. Because the more you apply it, the more people get fed up. The more people, a number become resilient. And there's a time when you can find the population saying enough is enough.
Yeah.
Again, that's what terrifies autocratic regimes.
Yeah.
The only way an autocratic regime can stop utilization of those tools of creating fear is if it decides and says, you know what, let's change direction, let's change strategy, let's now create an environment in which there can be fair competition. Before that happens, I would like to believe that even the worst hasn't happened yet.
Oh.
As long as General Museveni still wants to maintain control, and very well knowing that he doesn't have a popular base now, he has got to keep doing all things to maintain fear, to maintain control through fear and through use of resources, compromise leaders, because that's another strategy that they use. Because when you compromise leaders, even when there's a deep dissatisfaction within the population, once the population finds itself leaderless, it keeps on, in that state. Hopeless, maybe angry, maybe frustrated, but when they don't have leaders, they are not able to organize, or it's not easy for them to galvanize themselves when they don't have leaders.
Yeah, exactly. That's why General Museveni is using money on some leaders to demoralize us. He's trying to disconnect us from leaders. If you have been believing in Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert Bobi Wine, I'm going to buy whoever is near him. I give them money. Mujukira mpoga ne bayomba ebitaano. He was given bitaano. So that you lose trust in your leaders. In case they call you to rise up, you lost already the trust in them. Nobody will get up. So let me give them money to show you that these ones are not with you. For them, they after money, and I'm paying them. I'm giving them money, so they are disconnected with you. For you are on your own, and they are on their own. So don't waste time with them. That's what General Museveni is doing. The more you see him bashing out money, flashing out money to members of parliament, he's trying to crowbar your mind, to kill you mentally, to force you, all right, lose the, what is it called? The faith you had in your leadership. Ola byonna bakola okuteekawo akazito kwaba bakulembeze ne bakyuka n'oyaga nno nabadde wa Nuupu nnyo n'akyuka n'adda mu mpirawo masala n'akyuka n'adda mu NRM kubamalamu maanyi. Olaba ekintu kye yakola DP yali agezaako okumalirawo ddala DP amaanyi. Kyekimu kyekintu n'atwala mu Robert Mao. Kati abantu bonna banayogana bannawula ne DP bagitutte yaffe gye tubadde twesiga ewo abaagala. Nera ekintu kyekimu yakikola n'okukibiina kya FDC n'ajja Nankumbi. N'addala amafaabi bamuwa obukadde n'obukadde n'atwalirako Besigye obukadde 3 Besigye n'abutereka n'asirika mu covid nabwo. Tumala kuvaayo ensi ng'etandise okubyogerako, Besigye n'ava n'atugamba nti no, I was given money 300 million from Nandala Mafaabi. He brought that money, it was late in the night, and that money was in the bag of Uganda Bank. Yali yabigambani. Oshegede, all those are strategies of the dictator to weaken you, to make you lose the appetite of fighting him. Oshegede, kati buyamala awo najja mu national platform. Haitajimanyi kati yanonye engeri wagiyita agiyingiremu agiteekemu omusimbi ne bayomba nga talabawo okufuna mpuuga kali mu lulu n'amusimbula ebitano okuyita mu Anita Amongi bwe bicu kati ddamu ofugume ekigambo n'ekimu n'abanga atumaze kkolobba naye akuba yasanga eno ng'ate abayo bagezimu nga Kyagulanyi mwana alengerayo kati baali bajja kukozesa ezo sente za mpuuga ne bayomba bagambe mugamba you are against a dictator, you are fighting a dictator. But when the dictator gives you money, you eat it. We gave Mpuuga 500 millions. Where is it? Why not condemning it? Yasanga Kyagulanyi alaba Mpuuga bamusibirako n'ebibye kati struggle mutuddemu naye kati tovulaba akola bino byonna ogezaako to demoralize us. But Ugandans, I'm so glad, I'm so happy with you. You are still pushing. Continue. Fight, Ugandans.
Unfortunately, even when you compromise leaders over a period of time, new leaders would emerge.
Yeah.
There's no situation where you find autocratic regimes sustaining themselves in power endlessly. There's always an end to it.
Yeah. I wanted to come in. General Muntu, you were an army commander for close to 10 years. 1989 to 1998. You were leading an army at that time. When you see the very person who currently sitting in that position you were in, years later.
Bro, Solomon, Seranja, let me tell you this, bro. These two people you are comparing are totally different. Why? General Mugisha Muntu is General Mugisha Muntu. He's not a son of General Kaguta Museveni. General Muhoozi Kainerugaba is General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, a son of General Kaguta Museveni. Meaning these two people are different. One is the son to a president, yeah. Another one is a son of a peasant. Abatutegeeganye bulungi. Yo, omu mwana wa Nakyemalira yeeyita president. Okitegedde ate omulala mwana w'omusamba Nanda balina enjawulo. Okitegedde abantu abo banjawulo era n'endowooza zaabwe ziba za njawulo. Waliwo omuntu kuba n'abiri yakuzibwa nga bamulaga love y'abantu nti olina okwagala abantu b'oli nabo baba okulembera. Ye mwana w'omupakasi, ye mwana wa peasant, oli General Mugisha Muntu. Okitegedde ate waliwo gwe baakuza nga bagamba nti nno your gun is your friend, is your brother, is your mother, is your dad, is your uncle. Your gun is your best friend. You know? All those common people you are seeing, all those peasants, all those Ugandans are stupid. They are your servants. You must stand on them. You know? You can do whatever you want to do to them. You can even kill them because you are their God. We liberated this country. We killed over 1 million people. So we own this country is ours. So you can do whatever you want to do to them. Okitegedde oyo ye mwana wa General Museveni Muhoozi Kainerugaba bamukuza bamugambe ebyo si bye bimu nebya General Mugisha Muntu. So there is a difference between abantu aba babiri.
Ordering the abduction of people from the streets, tweeting on his official account, proudly saying, we have this person, he's in the basement, he's learning Runyankole.
They have the magic.
Being released with wounds and images and his head, his beard shaved. what comes into your mind?
Stupidity.
Well, fear for the country, fear for what could happen, the future into which we are heading. Even during our own time, we made our own mistakes. There's no doubt about that. The situation was quite complex. We were fighting against 7 insurgent groups who were trying to stabilize the situation after a war of 5 years. We also had a lot of political resistance in a number of regions. But in spite of all those challenges, at least one thing that we had then, which is lacking now, is the sense of admitting where we made mistakes.
Yeah.
If not publicly, but behind closed doors, we would know where we would have made mistakes. And then we would discuss and see how to rectify the mistakes, how to do things different. Because basically we're looking at the country. How do we build institutions? How do we establish functioning systems? And along there, we knew that there are areas where we would get challenges. Like fighting insurgency is one of the most complicated ways of warfare.
True.
Even the most developed countries have engaged in the kind of wars like we're involved in. I mean, you can see like the American army in Vietnam or when it was in Afghanistan. Even when an army is sophisticated, fighting, carrying out counterinsurgency operations is one of the most complex ways in which armies can easily find themselves sucked into a lot of controversies.
Yeah.
We were fighting on 7 fronts, but we had the humility to know the challenges we were meeting. And we knew that they were going to be military, they were going also to be political.
Yeah.
But when we would make mistakes, as I've already indicated, there would be lessons to be learned, how to change ways, how to maintain discipline in the army. Because another thing we knew, that if there is a breakdown of discipline in the army, the country is gone.
True.
Now the problem, and internally, there are things when we would make mistakes that would really make us feel bad. Maybe if we didn't express it in public, but inside ourselves, because we know that we had a noble cause, we were meeting challenges, also making mistakes, but we knew that the end of it all, the country would reach a point where they would start reaping sweet fruits from that process, in spite of whatever mistakes we would make, because they would not be deliberate. The problem now is that all what we see is intended.
Perfect. That's what I needed. I told you, whatever you see now, my people, it is intended. They are doing it intentionally. They are doing it because they want to do it. They are doing it because they love it. They are doing it because they must do it to save them, to protect them from you. If they don't do what they are doing right now, if Genome Muhoozi doesn't abduct us, if they don't torture us, if they don't make us disappear from our people, if they don't kill us, if they don't beat us using their jet things to put fear in us, bro, they will not survive even a single minute here in Uganda. So the way for them to survive, to live another day, they have to do what they are doing. Yeah, because if they don't do it, bro, they are nowhere to be seen. Ugandans will rise up. They'll catch them like Kensenene. They'll do what? They'll fly them. They'll eat them with the muogo all Monday. So they fear that. They fear one day to see Genome 7 in the dock. They fear one day to see Genome Muhoozi in the dock. They fear one day to see mommy, to see Genetimu Kataha Museveni in the dock. They fear to see their daughters and their Bakodomi in the dock. So they fear that. The way to fight it, make you fear. Do whatever they can do to make you fear. Whether it's killing you, they will do it because they must do it for them to survive. Yes.
It's deliberate.
Yeah.
It's conscious.
Yeah.
It's by design. And what is frightening, it seems now there are officers who seem to be enjoying it too.
Yeah.
And also conducting it with a sense of impunity. While in our case, when we'd be making mistakes, we knew that they would be making us vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because we wanted eventually to create a system where governance would be rooted in the will of the population.
True.
That's why now there is a contradiction. So we'll do a number of things as a way of it was a war of winning over hearts and minds.
Yeah.
Even when we would make mistakes,
True.
and in the process of rectification of mistakes, and also changing tact, the target was winning over hearts and minds.
Yeah, true.
We knew it was a very difficult process because a number of challenges was also rooted in history. But we knew that if we gave it our best, eventually we'll reach that situation where the population would say, yes, in spite of the mistakes that were made, it was worth it.
Yeah.
Whatever sacrifices on the side of those who are fighting, on the side of those who had been defeated, that would reach a point where we would have a country where there would be justice, where there would be transparency in the management of national resources, where there would be fair play, where there would be no nepotism, where there would be equal opportunities and observation of freedoms and rights of people. Along the way, we lost that major end state that we desired to build. So there is, in as far as I'm concerned, there is no government that will never make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's human to make mistakes. The issue is the magnitude,
Yeah.
first, of the mistake that would be made. Two, the motive behind. Was it deliberate? Was it conscious? Was it by design? Or was it a mistake, even when people were trying to do things, in good faith? Yeah. Those are critical. What is frightening now, all the things that are happening are by design.
Yeah. I wanted to come in. You've talked about that you built this army and created disciplinary measures within the army that even when mistakes were made, there was a degree of accountability. You would have internal conversations and, flash a spotlight into yourselves. Remind yourself why you were fighting. I was told that sometimes they would even execute soldiers for some of those mistakes that were done.
Yes.
Rape and all those grave mistakes. People, soldiers would be shot down to act as an example. There was a degree of discipline that was within the army, and that's a firm foundation that you laid. But this is not what you see now.
Bro, what they were doing, during their guerrilla war, shooting at soldiers who have wronged, who have been caught in wrong, what they are doing to them by shooting them down to act as an example, that's the same tactic they are using to the civilians, who are just asking them to leave power peace-free. They are again using that guerrilla tactic that we are using in the bush, to eliminate Ugandans who are peaceful, really. They are only asking them, bro, I'm tired of you, get out of here, get the hell out of here. And they do execute them, abduct them, to act as an example to other Ugandans, not to interfere with them. So what they were doing is what they are doing again today. But those times they were doing it to soldiers. Currently, they are doing it to mwananchi. No way. No soldier can be punished for doing anything wrong to Ugandans. No way. No. You punish a soldier in this Museveni's regime? How? Who are you to punish a soldier? Who gave you the permission? Soldiers must be left to do whatever they want to do. Kill, abduct, torture, yeah, pluck out your teeth, break your lips, and nothing will be done to them unless they will be promoted to more offices, to more ranks, and they given more money, thanking them for what they have done. Now, what was supposed to be a punishment or a treatment to men and women in uniform, they reversed it to be a punishment, a treatment to civilians, to Ugandans who do want change. Yeah.
Because at that time the focus was...
Now you're saying the very people who are supposed to enforce that discipline, are they doing contrary to what you actually set up?
No, they just changed the way. Solomon, they changed the way. Bro, they were doing it to soldiers and soldiers, If you do wrong, they give you punishment. That way. They execute you or do whatever they want to do to you as a soldier. Now, that what was supposed to be done to soldiers, they just tweaked it somehow, somewhere, and it's being done to Ugandans, the common people, the Mwananchi. That's what they are doing to them, to act as an example. Blood.
It's absolutely... I just simply can't even understand how SCDF can act in the manner in which General Muhoozi acts, and then the commander-in-chief just simply doesn't act. It just simply baffles me. But then it is really a reflection of the absolute shift from what we originally intended to do and now. Because now the main intention is how the regime can hang on to power. Maybe then it was still in its nascent stages at the top by General Museveni, but the rank and file, our main focus was how to build an army as an institution.
Okay.
How do we ensure that the army is absolutely disciplined?
Yeah.
And also becomes a foundation for stability in the country, regardless of which government is in power. Because we also knew that the government would change.
Yeah.
And that's why we were very active in behind the scenes, and in some cases direct, when the constitution was being written, to have a term limits clause in the constitution. Because we knew that, there's a time when we would now have to shift from the earlier practice where once we took power, because NRM and NRA were linked.
Yeah.
We actively discussed that, and some of us insisted that there must be a delinkage. The first thing we started off with was the name itself, because we didn't want ourselves to be continuously seen as
NRA.
A wing of a political movement.
Correct.
There was intense
conversations.
Not only discussions, but even in the CA itself. There are senior leaders. I remember the one who was leading the charge to maintain NRA was the Minister of Defense then.
Yeah.
And we, on our side, were saying, no, change them. We need change from being National Resistance Army to Uganda People's Defense Forces. At least at a formal level, change the name, and then start working on the practical aspects of ensuring that the army becomes professional, becomes non-partisan, which has not been achieved yet, because there is still contention. There are those who want to use the army as a tool of, one, creating fear, sustaining that fear, so that they maintain a hold on to power.
I told you.
Which is unsustainable, definitely.
I told you.
General, you had an opportunity of serving in this army. You joined the struggle. You were reporting to General Museveni at that time for 10 years.
Yes.
I would love to believe you know him to an extent. You know him partly in the military. You were so close. You know what he stood for or what he stands for in terms of discipline within the army.
Yes.
What do you think goes through his mind when he sees these things that are happening right now?
He's happy.
He's conflicted.
No, he is happy because even him did them. Even himself did those acts when he was fighting a guerrilla war. There's no difference. A father and a son, there's no difference. Yeah, there's no difference. The father killed, the son is killing. Yeah, the father tortured, the son is torturing. Yeah, the father abducted, the son is abducting. So what is the difference? No difference. They are the same. Yeah, and is one teaching another one to do. Yes, the father is teaching the son to do what he was doing. Yeah, there's no difference.
On one side, he would want to see a disciplined army.
No.
But on the other side, he wants to hang on to power.
Yeah.
The two are in conflict.
Yeah.
Because for him to hang on to power, he must do what he does with the army and intelligence services and police. Mm-hmm. He must misuse them for purposes of control, creating fear, so that he can sustain himself in power. So, on the balance of factors, that's more important to him. Hang on to power is more important than anything else.
True.
While he may have a desire to see a disciplined force, there's no way you can use a disciplined force to do the things that they do. For example, in elections, in general elections, in by-elections. He abuses those institutions, abuses his power. Because hang on to power to him is the topmost consideration over everything else. So in that regard, until he still wants to hang on to power, he'll keep doing the things that he does. Unless somehow he changed his attitude and said, okay, let me either two things. If he said, okay, let me influence the institutions and create an environment in which there can be fair competition, and then he participates. If he's willing to lose and accept the loss. That's one option. Second option to say, you know what, let me create an environment in which I can bow out, but for purposes of leaving a legacy, ensure that there is a free, fair, transparent election. Okay. As I bowed, at a psychological level, you can see that he's not yet ready for any of the two yet.
Yeah.
So expect what is happening to continue happening.
Yeah, I do think General Museveni fears the day he will get out of power because of the actions he has done to Ugandans. And I do think he 100% feels quite very happy, extremely happy when he sees people suffering. This is not only the first time to see this. During Amin's time, things were happening. And it's alleged, rumors are there, he was the same guy doing them. Trying to tarnish Amin's name. During Obote's time, these things were there. And he was the Minister of Defense? Yes. All this was happening when he was in government. So, the guy who was doing them in those regimes is the same guy still doing them. And for him to see everyone crying, everyone, in a miserable life, he feels excited. He gets that excitement. I have killed them. I have tortured them. Even now the son feels that the same way. Yeah. That's their DNA. Yes, they'll kill us all if we don't understand and we get up from our comfort zones to fight this bad dictatorship. Yeah.